When she was crowned Miss World 2 years ago, Rolene traveled the globe, raising awareness around children's issues needing serious attention. Having successfully completed her reign, she could return to thoughts of her own life and her wedding to Daniil. We got the exclusive as a year's planning came together the day before the big one.
Rolene, 2015 was already an incredible year for you, but it seems as if 2016 is going to top that with your dream wedding happening. What was your vision in creating that dream wedding?
And 2015 was definitely an amazing year, and I can't even imagine how 2016 will top that, but it actually is. It was so easy to plan my dream wedding because since I was a little girl, I've always known what I wanted. I had this amazing royal wedding in mind, a wedding that is timeless, that is elegant. Everyone was wearing black tie, white flowers, princess fairy tale dress. So that is the vision that I had, and the late group is definitely well on their way to making my dream wedding a reality.
When I look around at the scenery here, I can understand why you chose Lawrenceford as your venue.
Daniil and I were looking at venues, and I just told him this is it. It was just so beautiful, the nature was so perfect that you actually have to do very little outside to make it look good. That was one of the reasons. The other reason is that there are so many places that you can actually use. So we are getting married in front of the manor house, which is very special and sacred for us because it's not used very often. Then the market is in the Laning, we call it in Afrikaans, the Laning. And then we obviously have the reception area, which is Laurent and Lawrenceford, which is amazing. Like a white canvas, you can basically do anything you want in there. So because everything was here, everything was beautiful, and the people were amazing, that is basically why we chose this as our venue.
Admiring the elegant cake with wedding planner Alate Swanepoel, we saw the inscribed words, "For every season there's a time and a purpose for everything under heaven." And now it was time for a wedding.
Alate, I know you do spectacular weddings, but this one really is beyond comprehension. How did you go about fulfilling the brief which Rolene gave you?
I saw them just under a year ago. That's when the planning process started. I recall her flying in from Hong Kong, and nobody was allowed to know that she's actually in the country to plan her wedding. So for us working with Rolene, it was working with an overseas bride because she was traveling all over the world doing all these wonderful things for beauty with a purpose. So we had a day and a half where we did food tasting, floral design, looked at all the chairs in the market, all the cutlery, and that's all we needed. The rest happened via email and Skype.
The process from inception of this beautiful ceremony to the actual fruition of everything coming to life like this, that must have been quite a long and lengthy process.
She was the most amazing bride to work with. Intelligent, so organized, and she knew exactly what she wanted. But the great thing about Rolene is that she gave us absolute freedom. She said go mad, but there was one non-negotiable for her, and that was the reception. She wanted her guests to dine in a cocoon of flowers, and I think we perfected her dream, and I cannot wait for her to walk into the reception because I know that's going to be the teary moment and the gooseflesh moment for her.
The formal reception was a floral waterfall with 30 chandeliers floating in wisteria-like blooms. Rolene wanted a forest of flowers, all white, and she got it.
What was your brief in terms of creating this explosive floral fantasy behind you?
Well, from the start, Rolene wanted this magical sky that's just filled with an immensity of white flowers, and that was the brief in short. And then we've taken it from there. Normally you would start on the horizontal plane on the tables, but this time we turned the world literally upside down, and we had to start right up in the roof. We had to do a base, bit of construction to keep everything way up there, with a lovely base of Cape hydrangea. We also had to be quite prepared for the heat, so we could only use 3 types of flowers, which is gladioli, phalaenopsis orchids, and dendrobium. These flowers are all heat resistant, and they give a wonderful, lovely linear look, starting from the top and cascading down in this wonderful waterfall array of flowers, which will tonight hopefully look like lovely stars.
The menu would be a many splendid thing by executive chef Gustav Boshoff.
Gustav, you've conceptualized the entire menu, from the street food all the way through to dessert. What will the guests be feasting on?
So what we wanted to do, we started with an international food market. We've got a braai station to resemble South Africa. We've got a sushi and dim sum bar, as both Danielle and Rolene love Eastern food. And then we've got a charcuterie station. And then for those more health conscious, watching their figures, we've got a salad martini bar, which is quite fun.
Dinner would begin with a seafood bisque, a starter of Peking duck and a smoked salmon dumpling.
After that, we're going on to the more traditional South African fare. We've got a very hearty oxtail stew, which is both the bride and groom's favorite meals, served on samp, which is done in a slightly more sophisticated way. We cook it a lot much like you would cook a risotto, served with some green beans. And then, of course, no good Afrikaans meal is complete without pompoen cookies.
The rings represent a special bond, which kept the couple close in a year where they were often apart.
We all remember you in this beautiful blush pink creation that Casper Bosman did for you for Miss World. But what was your brief to him when it came to creating the perfect wedding dress for you?
The thing that I had in mind when it came to my wedding dress, when it came to my makeup, to my hair, was I want to look like me, but like me on steroids. So, you know, very simple, very clean. If someone sees me, they shouldn't see the dress, they should see me. Daniel loves me natural. He loves me actually without makeup, without hair or anything, so I went very natural. The dress is so simple, but it's still fairy tale-like, it's still royal, it's still princess-like. So I'm so excited to show everyone the dress that Casper designed for me, and I think it's amazing. It goes with my dream since I was a little girl, and I can't wait to wear it.
Speaking of Miss World, we met you as Miss World with this dark crown of hair, and now you're looking like a 1950s screen goddess. What prompted you to change your hair this way?
I definitely had to think about it before I did it. Very drastic change, shorter hair, blonder, golder hair. But the reason why I did it was because this is what I looked like when Daniel met me. I had a little bit of longer hair, but I had blonde, golden hair, and that's how he fell in love with me. I wanted to bring that special element back when I'm walking down the aisle and he sees me exactly the way I was when he first met me.
The estate agreed to the ceremony being held in front of the manor house as a special acknowledgement to how important Rolene is to South Africa.
I really am so excited for some of the special moments at the wedding, which one of them are that my dad and myself will arrive on a horse and carriage. So very royal, very princess-like, also coming together with the vision of the royal wedding.
To this country, she is royalty, a people's princess. Guests at the ceremony were impressed that after the wedding, Rolene will complete her degree in medicine. She'll study in Bloemfontein until she graduates, and from there, the Strauss family will always have a doctor in the house. But first, a feast was to be shared.
Another element is the pre-dinner. So while we are taking couple photos, the guests will be having a market full with food, different kinds of foods and cheeses and meats and everything. Like in the olden days in front of the castles, they have these markets. So they will have the market outside, in between the trees. So it's just going to be so exciting and special, hopefully for the guests as well.
Evening here in Somerset West would usher in the subtle fragrance of the hydrangeas. Then followed aromas of that Eastern meets traditional South African menu, a hit with local and international guests. While the music played, desserts of peppermint crisp and cinnamon sticks did the rounds. All that would be left of the cake was the top fruitcake, which they're saving for the day of their firstborn. Rolene the princess now looked every bit the queen, and long may she reign.